Welcome to the deep dive. So many of us feel, well, pulled in a million directions, right? Constantly looking for ways to feel a bit more grounded.
Yeah, less overwhelmed by just everything all the time.
Exactly. So today we're diving into something that might really help. The power of the present moment, like really being here now.
Uh-huh. And we're drawing on some really powerful sources for this. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, obviously a cornerstone text on this.
Right, it's huge. And we're also weaving in ideas from Sim.
Yeah, which adds some fascinating angles, especially on, self-awareness, how others see us, our emotions, that sort of thing.
Okay, so the mission today really is to extract the practical stuff you can actually use day to day to navigate the noise, find some well-being without getting lost in abstract ideas.
Let's do it. So this first concept from Tolle, it's pretty central.
Go on.
The idea that time, as we usually think about it,
Yeah.
it's basically an illusion created by our minds.
An illusion. Okay, that sounds big. He actually says time isn't precious at all because it is an illusion.
Right. Kind of makes you stop and think, because our lives are so structured around time. Schedules, goals, regrets, hopes.
Our whole sense of self, often. Who we were, who we want to be.
Exactly. But Tolle argues the only reality, the only thing that's ever actually real, is this present moment. Right now.
The past is just memory happening now. The future is just projection happening now.
Precisely. And this is where the mind, what Tolle calls the ego, resists the present. Because, the ego needs time. It builds its identity out of past stories and future goals or fears.
So without past and future, the ego feels threatened, like it's losing control.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it might dissolve. And this clinging to past and future, Tolle says, is where a lot of our suffering comes from.
That makes sense. Like regret about the past, anxiety about the future. That feeling of being overwhelmed, a lot of us know so well. It's like we're dragging yesterday's baggage while already stressing about tomorrow.
And he suggests the present moment isn't just neutral ground. It's actually like a doorway.
A doorway? To what?
To something deeper. He calls it being, or the unmanifested. Think of it as like the underlying aliveness, the quiet awareness beneath all the mental noise.
Okay.
He describes it as the eternal, ever-present one life beyond the myriad forms of life that are subject to birth and death.
It's like finding stillness inside the chaos of thought.
That's a powerful idea. The present as the only reality and a gateway to this? Deeper being. Okay, but how? How do we actually get there? How do we quiet the mental chatter?
Well, one of his key techniques is simply observing the thinker.
Observing the thinker.
Yeah. It means becoming aware of the thoughts running through your head, but crucially without judging them or getting swept away by them.
Like watching clouds pass in the sky. You see them, but you're not in the cloud.
Exactly like that. You notice, there's a worry thought or there's a planning thought, but you see it as just a thought, not necessarily reality, and not you.
So you create a bit of distance. Instead of thinking, I am anxious, you notice, I am experiencing anxiety. Precisely. And that simple act of witnessing creates little pauses, little spaces. Tolle calls them gaps in the constant stream of thinking.
Gaps.
And in those gaps, that's where you can experience that inner stillness, that connection to being. The mental noise just quiets down for a moment.
And this isn't just for, like, sitting on a cushion meditating, right?
No, absolutely not. He really emphasizes bringing this awareness into everyday life. Pay full attention to washing your hands. Notice the sensation of water. Feel your feet walking. Really listen when someone talks.
Engaging the senses in the now.
Yes, full attention, moment by moment. Even noticing your breath is a powerful anchor to the present.
And that connects really nicely with that idea from Kola about being in the now, doesn't it? Enjoying the moment, expressing yourself without worrying so much.
Exactly. Not getting too hung up on how others react or what the result will be, just being fully engaged in this.
Okay, so we practice observing thoughts, bringing attention to the present moment. But how do we maintain it? Because, let's be honest, the mind loves to wander off.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a default setting. Tolle talks about the difference between clock time and psychological time.
Clock time is practical stuff, like meeting deadlines.
Right. Necessary for functioning in the world. Psychological time, though, that's the mind's addiction to past and future. Reliving old hurts, endlessly worrying about what might happen. That's the stuff that creates suffering.
So the goal is to use clock time when needed, but minimize getting lost in psychological time.
You got it. And a huge part of staying present, maybe the core of it for Tolle, is acceptance. saying yes to whatever is happening right now.
He says, whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it.
Wow.
Okay.
That can be really hard sometimes.
It really can, especially when things are unpleasant or painful. But Tully's point is that resistance to what is, fighting reality, is what creates the friction, the inner turmoil.
So acceptance isn't necessarily liking it, but just allowing it to be, not adding that extra layer of struggle against it.
Exactly. And it frees up so much energy that was being spent fighting what already is. Okay. Now, Tully also has this concept, the pain body. Can you break that down a bit?
Yeah, the pain body. Think of it like an accumulation of old emotional pain inside you. Past hurts, grief, anger that weren't fully processed and felt.
So it's like this reservoir of negative energy.
Kind of, yeah. And it lies dormant sometimes, but then something in the present can trigger it, maybe a comment, an event that resonates with that old pain.
And then it flares up.
It flares up, and Tully says it actually wants more pain. It feeds on negative experiences, negative thoughts, drama. It wants to perpetuate itself.
Okay, that sounds a bit scary. How do you deal with that?
The key, again, is awareness, observing it. When you feel that waves of old negativity rising, you notice it. You feel it in your body, but you don't identify with it. You don't say, I am this anger. You say, the pain body is active right now. I feel anger.
Just bringing consciousness to it weakens it.
That's the idea. He says unconsciousness creates it, consciousness transmutes it. Just seeing it for what it is, without getting lost in it, starts to dissolve its power over you.
And this seems to echo that idea from Tulin about no reaction. Accepting things as they are, maybe internally, without that feeling of being wronged or outraged all the time.
Precisely. Not letting external stuff constantly hijack your inner state. It's about finding that internal stability, regardless of outer circumstances.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about other people. Tulin brings up social illusions. What's that about?
It's about how easily we absorb and internalize the opinions, beliefs, and judgments of the society around us. We start treating them as like absolute truths about how things should be or who we should be.
Right, that pressure to fit in, to conform, our brains are maybe wired for that, for group survival.
Probably has deep roots, yeah. But it means we can end up living according to others' expectations instead of our own authentic feelings or desires. We suppress parts of ourselves.
And Shul is pretty blunt about it. Life is too short. Don't worry about what others think. Do what you want. Ignore other people's prejudices.
It's a strong call for authenticity. And the antidote it proposes is developing core confidence.
Which isn't arrogance, right?
Not at all. It's having your own internal compass, your own standards and values, being able to express yourself without constantly needing external validation or approval. It mentions avoiding always looking to the sidelines for cues on how to be.
And related to that is having a strong reality frame. What does that mean?
It means really knowing yourself, your values, your boundaries, what you want, what you won't accept. When you have that internal clarity, you're much less likely to be thrown off balance by someone else's opinion or reaction.
So you're anchored in your own reality. Says the most confident people have the least emotional reaction to conflicting views because their frame is strong.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from doing things to please others to cultivating your own being, your own inherent sense of self that doesn't depend on outside approval.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Finally, let's talk about difficult emotions. We all have them. What do these sources say about dealing with things like sadness, anger, fear when they come up?
Well, Tolle connects negative emotions directly back to resisting the present and identifying with the thinking mind, the ego.
So feeling bad is often a sign we're caught in thought, fighting reality.
Often, yes. He suggests that underneath most negative emotions is a kind of core unease, a sense of lack, often manifesting as fear in various forms.
And identifying with the emotion saying, I'm sad instead of I feel sadness, makes it worse.
Definitely. It locks it in place, makes it part of your identity. The practice, again, is to observe it. Witness the feeling with detachment, the same way you witness thoughts. You are the space in which the emotion happens, not the emotion itself.
And Tolle has this idea of no resistance regarding your state, right? Accepting you might not feel great, but you can still function.
Exactly. It says, accept not being in the state, take the correct action. Don't let feeling low paralyze you or become an excuse. Acknowledge the feeling without making a huge drama out of it.
It also talks about just sticking with the emotion.
Yeah, which sounds similar to Tolle's observation. Don't immediately try to push it away or fix it. Just be with it, notice it. Non-resistance, it says. I'm just observing. I'm aware of this, but I don't care. maybe care in the sense of not getting entangled or overwhelmed by it.
Allowing it to be there without freaking out about it.
Right. True self-acceptance, it seems, comes from that deeper place of awareness that can hold all states, pleasant and unpleasant, without needing them to be different.
Wow. Okay, so pulling this all together, this deep dive really highlights that the present moment, the now, isn't just some nice idea. It's everything. It's where life happens.
And it's the key, potentially, to freeing ourselves from a lot of the mental and emotional loops that cause suffering.
And cultivating this presence, observing thoughts, feeling emotions without identifying, accepting what is, caring less about external validation, it's an ongoing practice.
Absolutely. It's a shift in perspective, a different way of relating to our own minds and the world, not a one-time fix.
But the good news is, even small moments of awareness, small shifts back to the present, can really start to make a difference in how you feel day to day.
Definitely. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to take away.
Yeah.
Just notice, in the coming days, your own relationship with time. How often is your attention really here now? How often is it lost in the past or future? And just wonder, what might change if you consciously, gently, brought your attention back to the present moment again and again?
Just experiment with it, see what happens. A great invitation. We hope this exploration has given you some useful tools and perspectives. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.